and what the reconciliation bill, the next step to that, will include, which is the commitment to get 100% of our electricity from clean sources by 2035. Those pieces are so important.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the clean energy and the effort to get that clean electricity standard that you mentioned, requiring power companies to move to renewable sources and to no longer emit carbon dioxide. That's not in the bipartisan infrastructure deal. We know that the reconciliation plan, which is Democrats only, that'll have to be budget related. Can you get it into that legislation? And if not, how do you move it forward?
Yeah, I think it will be in that legislation. That's what's the important part, is that there will be a need to include something that allows the bird rule to be met. But that's a technical term, but the bottom line is we're negotiating that right now, and I think we can get that across the finish line. Honestly, I think it's the most important piece. Of course, I'm the Secretary of Energy, but honestly, if you see this across the country, what's happening, if we do not lead on this, if we do not take seriously our commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, we can't lead the rest of the world either. I mean, we need to set an example. So the bottom line is I think it can get in there. I think that there is a commitment on the part of the Democrats and hopefully some Republicans as well that we have to act, because we will continue to see these escalating events. And let me just say, Victor, you know, in the 1980s, we spent about $17 billion a year on extreme weather events. In the 1990s, we spent about $27 billion a year. Last year, we spent $95 billion a year on clean weather events, cleaning up the mess afterwards, the horror afterward, and that was a low year. In the past 5 years, we've spent on average $125 billion a year. How much more evidence do we need?
So let me ask you one more on the politics of this. You said that you have Democratic support for the tax incentives and the credits to pass some of the elements that we're discussing today to get into the reconciliation bill. Again, you'll need all of the Democratic votes. Do you have commitments? Does this administration have commitments from Senator Manchin, from Senator Sinema of Arizona?
They're working on it.
So that's enough.
No, it's not. It's just that those conversations are happening right now, and I think those senators understand the importance of investing in clean energy and honestly of helping their communities, particularly Senator Manchin of West Virginia, helping those workers, the miners, et cetera, transition. They've powered our nation for the past 100 years. We want them to power our nation into the future using clean energy.
Okay, short of the reconciliation bill, we know that Leader McConnell has said that if Democrats go this route, try to get the additional elements that are outside the bipartisan bill, there's going to be pushback with Republicans. If all you get is what's in the bipartisan bill, and much of what we're discussing is not, what can this administration do from an executive order perspective to push through some of this legislation?
You know, I think the president really is committed to getting bipartisan support. So hopefully we get that first piece done. The president is also committed to the rest of this agenda, the Build Back Better agenda overall. He spoke about this yesterday, as you know, in Illinois. It is critical that we get this through. I think there is a significant commitment on the part of all Democrats to see large pieces of this move forward. So we'll have to see about that. The preference is to do it through Congress and not through executive order.
Let me ask you about cyber attacks and the ransomware. You have acknowledged that some of these criminal outfits have the capability to take down power grids across this country. If that happens, what capabilities does this country have to get back up quickly in a deadly heat wave or in the dead of winter?
This is another reason why, Victor, it's so important why we invest in the transmission grid, which is part of the first bill, the bipartisan infrastructure framework. We need to invest not just in adding capacity, but in resiliency and in protecting ourselves from cyber intrusions. So we need to do this. We don't have, we need to right now do all we can to protect our people. But I will say that individuals and businesses also need to protect themselves. So we are working on increasing our cyber defenses on public energy infrastructure. but we need to have, I mean, you saw the ransomware attacks this weekend. We need to make sure that everybody understands that they need to put up their own cyber defenses, that there needs to be healthy cyber hygiene, as they say. They need to install the protection that they need to do on their own software, because we cannot allow ourselves to be vulnerable. But one important piece of that is the investment in a transmission grid.
But Madam Secretary, I want to go back to the question because it's a bit concerning that my question was, do we have the capabilities to get back up quickly if they are taken down, which you acknowledge that is
It
one of the
depends on what
options
happens, right? It depends on how broad it is. I mean, certainly we work very closely with the electricity infrastructure, with the utilities, et cetera. We've got a whole council that works on this, and we have very good relations. We have very good relations in terms of them telling us when there is an attack and us being able to send out warnings across the system. So we've got a very nimble system on the electricity side. I'm confident that we would be able to get it up and running. If it, if it's very, very broad, obviously that will take some time. But the bottom line is we still need to do these key investments to protect our grid and the pipelines as well.
All right, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, thank you so much for your time.
You bet.
All right, in a minute, we're going to go back to Surfside, Florida. There, the search efforts have shifted to recovery, and now family members are speaking out.